done sold aside. Whoa.
Hey guys, we're going to be going mussel hunting today. I'm pulling up to the spot. I believe today's the 23rd, so the season's going to be closing at the end of the month. It always goes from October 31st to, I believe, the end of April. I got lucky and I got a tide in the morning where I could reach it. It's negative 0.7, I believe. So yeah, we'll see. It's about 10 pounds per person. This is my go-to spot. If I can usually access it with the water and the tides, because the water does get pretty rough, it's always a good spot to go get my my limit. There's no size limit in California. I do call the Biotoxin Line every time before I head out to make sure there's no red tide or no biotoxins in the water. Other than that, you just need a scale, something to weigh them, either a manual or a digital one. And also there's no tools that you can use for it, so it all has to be done by hand. I usually just take a little basket, a bag, my scale, and some gloves, because they will shred your hands up, your knuckles come back pretty cut up. So anyways, we'll go back out there and we'll see how it goes. It's been probably a couple weeks since I came, so we'll see how it is today. Hopefully it's not too windy and not too rough of water. All right guys, well, I made it down to the spot. It is still low tide, but we're probably like 10 minutes after the lowest point. This is pretty much all the gear that I use. I use this little basket. I use that for harvesting seaweed and stuff also. I use a cheap pair of Walmart gloves so you don't slice up your fingers. I have my Gamakatsu bag, my digital scale. You can even use the ones that they use for luggage, but basically it's pretty simple. Rule of thumb for me anyways, or that I've always heard, and I've been doing this for probably over 10-15 years, but all of these mussels they're probably edible. I mean, they get under the water at some point throughout the day, so as long as they're closed, they're good. All of these right over here. Now those are all easy pickings, but rule of thumb is go at the lowest point of the tide throughout the day and then get the ones that are still moist, or the ones that are still getting splashed by the waves, which would be the ones right down here. Now, I would normally crawl down on those rocks, but my leg is still hurting from my accident, and I am using walking sticks to crawl over all these, so I don't want to push it and end up in the water as I've been known to do. So I think I'm just going to stick with the ones that are splashing up, maybe right over there. I don't want to get too far out where those waves are, but I think those in that pocket, those are also bigger. The bigger they are, the closer they are to the water is usually the bigger that they get. That's because they're having more water cycle through them. They're flushing more food and nutrients through the system, so they get bigger. So you can tell the ones on that side versus the ones over here. And after I pluck a couple, I'll show you guys a little comparison so you know what I'm talking about. I try to get consistent size. So the tide's coming up because I got here late. So I crawled out of that hole right there. Not really gonna do anything to me, but I am wearing sandals. I don't have my extra tufts on. The really juicy mussels are right over there. Those are the ones that I would use normally for barbecuing, or the prettier ones with the shells and that kind of stuff that are cleaner are right on those big rocks. But I just wanted to give you a quick comparison of the 3 different sizes from the 3 different tides. This one, for example, is not a huge one. I actually don't like them when they're too big because they're a little too mushy. This is a perfect size for smoking. Gives them a nice little flavor. It's also a pretty clean shell. Those beards will come right out. That's what they attach themselves onto the rocks with. It doesn't have any barnacles, so those are nice ones for presentation if you're gonna be putting them in like fettuccine or on top of noodles, or using the shells for cioppino, that sort of thing. But this is one of the ones that is down on those rocks that I just had to crawl out of, that's getting constantly beat by the waves. Compared to this one. Whoa, big wave just came. Never turn your back to the ocean. Compared to this one, which is a medium one, that's in the medium portion of it. Makes sense. It's not getting as much water as the ones down there on the rocks, but it is getting splashed more often versus these little guys. Big one, medium one, and then all these little tiny ones. Big difference. A lot of times they could be the same age too, but they're just getting a lot more nutrients when they're down by the water. So I also moved from that rock because I have been harvesting off of this place for years and years and years, and I don't like picking all of them off of one spot. I mean, there's millions and millions out here. Never really see anybody else getting them, but you know, want my kids and my grandkids and stuff like that to keep coming out here, so I'll try to be respectful. And I like any fisherman, I believe in luck and in karma, and I feel like if you're poaching or you're over harvesting, then you're not going to harvest down the road. So one of the reasons why I do it. But I'm gonna jump back in there, probably put a little videos, speed it up. I don't really know how many I have. I'm not even close to 10 pounds, but yeah, I'll check in with you guys afterward. So I'm seeing some big juicy ones down there, but the waves are coming up. It's hard to not try it, but it's probably gonna be my last attempt. I'm also not very nimble jumping on these rocks right now, but I'm gonna try them because there are some good ones, and I did notice a size difference. So far, I don't really have that many. If I don't get close to my limit, I can finish picking off some of these medium-sized ones, but these look pretty good. Wish me luck. These up here start to get a little bit of barnacles on them. You can always scrape them off. I always brush them anyways, but aesthetically, doesn't affect the meat at all, but aesthetically, they're not as good looking when you put them in your soup or in your pasta. I definitely noticed the size difference from the ones up here that are a lot smaller, and it's harder to find big ones, where all the ones over there was just like a cluster of large ones. And they get even fresher when you're getting down there. You can see how these don't have any barnacles at all, but I'm definitely watching these waves. I mean, I'm literally sitting on and walking on beds of mussels. There's like, I feel like they're never ending, but I mean, I'm sure they are, just like every other resource, but I'm gonna try to get a few more of these before a wave catches me. Hey guys, I'm actually back at home. I normally weigh them and sort them and everything out at the beach, but I forgot I didn't show you that. I would normally sort them out on the tailgate. I use this basket to take them while I'm out there so that I have somewhere to throw them in easily. But I also bought a bunch of these little mesh bags, probably about a dozen or 20 or so online. Use them for crabs and mussels, clams, sea urchin, anything that I'm harvesting. Just makes it easier to sort them and carry it. And then also, if you're gonna refrigerate them before you package them, it's easier to stick in the fridge. Back at the house, I did end up getting my 10-pound limit. This is the scale that I use. So while I'm out there, before I keep plucking them off the rocks, I make sure that I am compliant. This is what 10 pounds of mussels looks like. So more than enough. So that came in at 9.62, so right under your 10-pound limit. So I don't know, maybe a couple more and we would have hit exactly that number, but I don't want to mess around in case the fishing game warden comes, so better safe than sorry. I got a couple things I'm going to do, and then I'll probably sort them out on the tailgate later on today, and then I'll steam them and package them and throw them in the freezer. We'll eat them in the off season. I eat them every once in a while when I go out and fish them fresh that same day, but maybe like a catch and cook. But for the most part, I like steaming them or smoking them and then packaging them. And after I defrost them throughout the year when the season's closed, I make any kind of dish I want. Cioppino, mussel dip, I mean, just eating them smoked over pasta and capers, that sort of thing. So I'll check in with you guys later.